Yo! Welcome back to Joe's Metal Mancave vlog. Today we're doing a collection update, and just to, I guess, be clear about my intentions with this channel, the main Joe's Metal Mancave episodes are, gonna really center around black metal, and as I kind of mentioned in a previous video, my intentions with that are to, highlight more, obscure and kind of less talked about black metal albums. Whereas with these collection updates, I'm gonna try to talk about, more known stuff, and generally speaking, it's gonna be, just me talking about, sometimes a lot of different music, because I like a lot of different music. I mean, for what it's worth, black metal is and has always been my favorite genre of music, but, these collection updates, I'm going to be talking about, sometimes, a lot of different music. This particular one, however, I have just black metal for you, and these are some names you will undoubtedly know. If you don't know them, though, then this is, definitely something for you to check out. So, here we go. So up first, we're going to talk about an Italian band known as Bulldozer. Bulldozer is a band that I have known about for many, many years, but I don't know why. I never checked them out. And I sort of got this album under some kind of weird circumstances. I had ordered a different CD from a guy at Discogs, but by the time the CD got to me, and I'm not sure if it was the shipper's fault or what, but the CD itself had been snapped in about 4 different pieces. The digipack was completely bent, and the CD was fucking destroyed. And so I messaged the guy in Discogs, and he was like, "Goddamn postal service," and I was like, "Yeah, but so what about me?" And then he's like, "Well, I either give you a refund or you can choose a different CD." So I was like, "Well, fuck a refund. I just want a different CD." So I chose this one, and I was pleasantly surprised by Bulldozer because, as I said, I've never heard of them, even though I've known about them for a really long time. And this is a fucking cool album. This is their debut album, Day of Wrath. It was originally released in 1985, and I guess the best way to describe Bulldozer is they're the Italian version of Venom. I would say they're slightly faster, their riffs and, the solos are a bit better, but it has the same sort of, crazy, chaotic nature that Venom had, and even their singer, AC Wild, he has a remarkably similar voice to Kronos from Venom, and, the thing I could say about Venom is, I like Venom, but, Venom really being serious about it, Venom only has 2 good albums, and that's Welcome to Hell and Black Metal. I mean, I've owned some of the other ones, and I've heard some of the other ones via streaming services, and, man, some of that shit they did in the late 80s and early 90s is fucking horrible, man. So, yeah, I'm just not really a big fan of Venom, even though this band I'm checking out here and talking about is very Venom-inspired. I mean, it's very clear. And my understanding is that pretty much everything Bulldozer released in the 80s is pretty solid, and in that same style. It's prototype black metal, and, it was surely influential on the second wave of black metal that came in Norway and Sweden and all that. But, I guess by the 92 or 93, Bulldozer broke up, but then they sort of reformed as a band. I guess they went in a techno and an electronic and even a rap direction. I don't know if this is figured into their main metal discography. I don't think so, but apparently they worked as this DJ for a couple of years and recorded something like 200 songs, but only a handful of them were released on a few EPs, and that was it. So, Day of Wrath, really good stuff. Again, just total, Venom worship, even though this is only a couple of years removed from when those albums were originally released. But, great stuff. I just, it's good drinking music, and that's the same thing with Venom. It's like one of those bands where you can only kind of listen to it when you're, drunk or getting high or whatever your choice is. But yeah, it's one of those bands that it's cool. I mean, I like it. This was pleasantly surprised for me, and I like this album, and I think I liked it enough where I'm probably gonna check out the rest of the Bulldozer discography. Well, at least the stuff in the '80s. So yeah. But anyway, that's Bulldozer. So here's a look at the front cover, and I really dig the front cover because it's like, you can see like some priest is like blessing him or something, and AC Wild's like, ah, holy water, or something, and he's just like, ah, get this shit off me. So that's the front cover, man. Then the back cover, there's the guys in the band, you know, got a nice cut off shirt there showing the abs for all the ladies, or I hope the ladies. Then there's the front cover of the booklet. Some lyrics, and this is a reissue from Metal Mind Productions from Poland, so it's got a little bit of story of the band in there, so that's cool. More photos and lyrics, I think, yeah. And the back cover there, yeah. So yeah, man, I mean, you know, there's another picture right there too. So, you know, surprisingly, really good stuff. I really dug it. You know, as I said, I'm not the biggest Venom fan anymore, but and this does sound like Venom. So if you like Venom, you're gonna love this stuff. And if you haven't checked out Bulldozer, definitely check out The Day of Wrath. So up next is a project that I think by most accounts, people will say everything this project released was, you know, pretty awesome and just at this point classic black metal. It's a project, at least for me, I feel is very hit or miss. I think some records are good, I think some are just meh. That's the best way I can put it. The project in question is Judas Iscariot. I first heard Judas Iscariot well over 20 years ago. I used to own the Heaven and Flames album, and you know, I thought it was just okay. It seems to have pretty favorable reviews all these years later, but I thought it was okay, and eventually I sold it, and in a lot of ways I just kind of dismissed Judas Iscariot as being just this kind of lo-fi, kind of boring, you know, raw black metal band. But this album, Just As in a Solitary Night, was the one album I heard back then, most likely via MP3s on Napster. And I really liked this album, but I just never got around to buying it. And then a few weeks ago, I was at the local record store, and they had a reissue of this, and I was like, fuck yeah, man, we're gonna do it finally. And I really like this album. So Judas Iscariot was the solo project of Anki Nantin, and he played all the instruments, although on some of the later recordings, a guy named Cryptic Winter played drums. But generally speaking, he plays all the instruments and almost all the early material. Now, this is very simplistic raw black metal. There's only like 3 or 4 riffs per song, and it's, you know, it can be very repetitive. I mean, it's clearly influenced by like Burzum and Darkthrone to a... So then when I got this album back in my stereo and I was hearing it again for a first time in many, many years, it reminded me of this kind of funny memory where, this was like back in like 2005 or something, me and some friends, we were going to the local casino to try and win it big, which of course we didn't. But, you know, we were dumb idiot kids, and we thought we could go to the casino, and anyway, we got drunk, I think, beforehand, then we're like, hey, let's go to the casino and get drunk, you know, continue drinking, and we're gonna win it big. And on the way there, I was playing MP3s, I think, off of like, I don't know, like, you know, there used to be like those adapters where you could play like your MP3 players off of like a dead radio station. Like we were playing this album on the way there, and so I was, you know, it's just a funny memory that came up right away when I listened to the album. But I remember my friends liking that album too much. But yeah, this is cool, just, you know, raw black metal, very simplistic, very straightforward stuff. You know, lyrical themes are, of course, you know, Satanism and anti-Christianity, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's also lots of influence in the lyrics from like poets and stuff like that too, so it's not, you know, totally centered around that kind of stuff. But it's a little more diverse. All the songs are, you know, I like this album. It's just a really, you know, good riffs. You know, some stuff is faster, and others there's sort of more slower, dirgy parts, which are cool too. But it's a good album. The only song it's kind of boring is the last song, which is just kind of a long, dark ambient song with some spoken words over it, and it drags out for like 15 minutes or something. I feel like it just needlessly makes the album a lot longer than it should be, but of course it's the last song, so you could, just skip it if you want. So a look at the cover and layout. There's the front cover. On the spine it says, "Dark Art for Black Souls." Back cover. As I said, this is a reissue. It was reissued by Moribund Cult, the same label originally released in 1996. There's the tray card. Here's the booklet again. Front cover. And I'm guessing this is very much the same layout as the original I had. Yeah. So, I guess most people, know Judas Iscariot, you like him or hate him, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it's a cool project that, I don't think everything that was released is great, but this album in particular is very good. I like it quite a bit, and if you haven't heard it or you want to give Judas Iscariot a second chance, this is the one to get as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So, that is Distant in Solitary Night by Judas Iscariot. Alright, we are moving on, and this is another undisputed classic of the Swedish black metal scene, and it's anyone's guess why I did not buy this album 20 years ago, because this is an album I heard way back then, and I want to say I made attempts to buy it, but every time I'd look it up, it was like really expensive, because I think for a long time it was out of print, and then people were charging crazy amounts for it on eBay or Discogs or wherever I was looking. But the album in question is Dawn's Slaughter Son, The Crown of the Treachery. Dawn, of course, is a classic Swedish black metal band that had a couple, actually 2 albums in the 90s and an EP that are all very highly regarded. I've heard them all. I think it's fantastic stuff, and just the fact that I haven't bought it is kind of weird. I bought this about 6 months ago only. But, Dawn, if you've never heard them, they were one of many bands that sort of followed in the same path as Dissection. It's melodic black metal. But I think what makes what makes Dawn a little bit different is they were perhaps a little more black metal sounding than Dissection was. Dissection was always overly melodic and, had some death metal traits, especially in, the first album, The Somber Lane. But Dawn were a lot more black metal. They were, I think, a lot faster. There was a lot more, black metal riffs, fast, drumming. Yeah, man. Dawn is really freaking good. If you've never heard them, this is definitely one to add to your, immediate listen list or your buy list, whatever have you. The band originally formed in the early 90s as a death metal band. I think all their demos are in a death metal style. Then they, like a lot of bands, moved into more black metal direction around after the early years. And everything they released in the 90s was great. And after this album, which I want to say came out in 1999 or maybe 2000 originally, the band broke up. And for a couple years now, the band's already been teasing about a new album. They reformed 5 or 6 years ago, and all I've really seen is them just releasing albums and vinyl and CD and tape and a lot of merchandising shit going on, but no new music, which honestly I don't really give a shit about. I'm just interested in the old classics, if I gotta be honest with you. But I hate it a lot when bands just gotta be like, all right, we're reformed and we're making new music, but then it's 5 or 6 years later and you're like, sure you are. Sure you're making new music. You've been able to relive your past now from the 90s when you were, in your 20s, and you've made some merch money and all that kind of stuff. But okay, where's the new album? And apparently it's coming someday, so we'll see. The guy from Thorns says the new album's coming someday too, and yeah, sure. So anyway, this version I have here is from a Brazilian label known as My Dark Desires, and the original version, as far as I know, did not come in a slipcase like this, so right away this version is special because you get this slipcase. And then let me, if I can see it fucking out of there. There's the front cover, the classic cover everyone knows and loves, the nuclear bomb. I'm gonna guess and say that's the nuclear bomb that hit Japan in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. There's the back cover. Yeah, wasn't there something else? Somewhere here something about how limited it was, but I'll show the booklet real quick. So there's the front cover again. Band photo. I always thought that was a fucking cool band photo too. Like, during a time period when almost all black metal bands are wearing corpse paint and always making some sort of like ragey pose. They're just like very just calm and just intimidating looking in that. It's a cool photo, man. Lyrics. More band photos of the individual members. Great stuff, man. More lyrics, and then there's the recording information. Where the hell was it? Somewhere in this goddamn slip. I thought it said how limited it was, but maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. Oh, special limited edition to 500 copies. There it is, right there. But I could have swore somewhere in here it said like what copy mine was, but I don't know. I've been doing some drinking and other weird things today, so I don't know. Anyway, that's Dawn's Slaughter Son, Crown of the Treachery. Classic Swedish black metal. Essential stuff, man. It's the damnedest thing. I was actually not going to get drunk today. I was going to go on my bicycle because it's nice weather outside, but I don't know if that's going to happen now. So, I'm going to talk about a couple more albums, and the next one up is a band everyone fucking knows, and maybe already owns this album, but the album in question is Darkthrone's Total Death! And here's what I can tell you about this album. I originally bought this album probably way back in like 2000. I like the album, but what I remember from the original version of this album was the volume was very low. Like, it forced you to like turn the volume up a lot more to hear it properly. And since I hate things for trivial reasons, I sold the album because I couldn't stand it. Like, it pissed me off so much. And the main reason for that was back in those days I used to listen to music a lot via CD Walkman, and it just annoyed me so much I had to keep alternating the volume, and super trivial, but I sold the album way back then, and in a lot of ways just totally forgot about it. But I liked the album, and in particular I loved the song Blackwinged. And for a period of time too, Mike, in those early days of the internet, my internet handle was Blackwinged. Yeah, I called myself that. And I always had these intentions of starting a black metal band called Blackwing, but I'm sure by now someone's already done that, and I never learned how to play the guitar, so that's a problem too. But about a year ago, I came across this album in a record store, and I noticed it had a bonus track on it, so I was like, you know what, I need to revisit it, because I liked it back then, and I was kind of hoping it was, remastered and the volume was a little bit louder. Now that I'm hearing it again, I'm not actually sure if it is, but I think it is. But I don't have a CD Walkman anymore anyway, so I don't have to fuck with volume too much, and I don't have to hate stuff for trivial reasons. So, Total Death was the 6th, or was it the 5th Darkthrone? I think it was the 6th Darkthrone album. It was originally released in 1996, and it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's one of those albums that people don't talk about enough when it comes to Darkthrone. It's always like Under a Funeral Moon, A Blaze in Northern Sky, and Transylvanian Hunger, and all good albums. Well, I will openly admit this right now. I do not like Transylvanian Hunger. I used to own it. I can never get into it, but yeah, that's another album where if I heard it nowadays, I might be like, oh shit, this is a really good album. But 20 years ago when I first bought it, then couldn't get into it. I always liked Under a Funeral Moon and A Blaze in Northern. Why can't I say it? A Blaze in the Northern Sky a lot better. And this album I liked a lot better too. But it was cool revisiting this album because it's not exactly like the older stuff. It seems different. The production is not, even though the volume's low, the production is not as, you know, lo-fi with the, you know, hissing raw guitars and stuff like that. It's, you could kind of tell Darkthrone was being influenced by some different stuff around that time. It doesn't, I don't think, I mean, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the riffs don't sound like they're heavily influenced by Celtic Frost anymore. It seems that they were, you know, drawing some new influences into music. And then this particular version here, which is I guess, was reissued in 2011. This is the version I have here. It has a bonus track called God of Disturbance and Friction, which is taken from one of the Moonfog compilations from the late 90s. So that was a cool song to hear that, and that actually offers a much more raw and total underground sounding version of Darkthrone, as many people love. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, if you've heard this album, you probably dig it. If you haven't heard it in a long time, pull it on, check it out. I think it's a very good album. Underrated in the grand scheme of things. You know, as I said, kind of those earlier ones before this always get all the attention. And, yeah, you know, cool. So anyway, there's the front cover. This is different from the original cover. I want to say the original one had some sort of, like, outer space shot or something. There was like planet or something on it. Make it appear, show me. I don't know what it is. So there's the back cover. Alright, and then there's the inside of there. And this particular version comes with the OB strip, which is usually something you get with a lot of Japanese CDs, but this one has one for some reason. Alright, so there's the booklet here. We'll check that out then. There's the front cover again, just mountains, no intergalactical shit. There's that classic photo of Fenris, which is, you know, that's a cool photo, man. Lyrics. Awesome classic photo of Nocturnal Culto. And the back cover. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's Total Death by Darkthrone. You know, Darkthrone was still, you know, they were still playing raw black metal on this album. It just doesn't sound exactly like the earlier stuff. And I think it's a great album. You know, again, if you haven't heard it in a long time, pull it out, check it out. If you haven't, if you don't own it, you know, consider buying it. It's a good album. So Total Death by Darkthrone. Alright guys, we're going to do one more album here for this collection update, and we're actually continuing with the most hated band in the world. We are talking about Darkthrone once again and their album Panzerfaust. What can I say about Panzerfaust? This is an album that I think by almost all people's claims is, you know, a true classic of the Norwegian black metal scene. But it's an album that I just never bought back in the day, and for reasons I don't really know, I heard some songs from it, you know, over the years, like, you know, again, via MP3s or more recently online streaming services, but I never bought it. And this album is interesting because it kind of continues that Transylvanian Hunger sound, which I already said I don't particularly like. But there's a lot more, like, it was kind of more rocking and, you know, Celtic Frosty kind of riffs in this album, too. In fact, the album kind of has this feel where some of it's just that really, like, cold, you know, really repetitive, dark riffs, but then there are other more kind of, you know, head bob and rocking kind of riffs to it, which, for me, makes it a lot more interesting. I mean, I like, you know, real cold, repetitive, dark riffs, of course, but, like, I always like it, too, when, you know, they throw in those more, you know, the more metal-sounding riffs or whatever have you, you know? And, man, I couldn't believe I never really owned this album before, because it's really, really fucking good. And I mean, I think the general consensus, too, is that everyone likes this album. I just, for reasons I can't explain, I'm just a little slow with some things sometimes, and this is the perfect example. So, the version I have here is the 2010 reissue on Peaceville, and it comes with this, basically this commentary disc where Fenris kind of talks about the album while the album was playing, and I don't know if everyone agrees, but I find Fenris to be very entertaining. I love hearing him talk about metal and talking about his own influence and stuff like that. So the commentary disc is cool. You know, it's not something I'm necessarily going to listen to every time I play this album, but it was just definitely interesting hearing him talk about the album and what influenced it. And I love it when like he's talking and he's just like, see that riff right there? Well, that's influenced by this band, or that's that particular song. It's I don't know. It's nerdy metal stuff, and I like it. I don't know. So, yeah, I guess most people know this album, and I don't really need to say too much about it, but, you know, it's a classic Norwegian black metal, very raw. This album came, of course, after Transylvania Hunger, and Transylvania Hunger was a controversial album because of how lo-fi it was, but also because there was, the quote, Norsk Ersk black metal on the back cover, which translates to something like, Norwegian, Aryan black metal, which obviously was done just to be confrontational and, you know, look extreme, but obviously it kind of, you know, kind of kicked them in their own asses, and a lot of people wanted to label them as a Nazi band after that. So, you know, I don't know what the reception to this album was at the time. I'm sure plenty of people were like, well, fuck this band if they're Nazis, but I think Darkthrone was a little embarrassed by it, and I think they've been apologetic towards it over the years. So yeah, so there's the front cover, and cool cover. It's just got, I think, Nocturnal Culto out in the wilderness, perhaps late at night. And there's the back cover. There's the booklets. One thing I'll say about this album, though, is, man, oh man, like, the fucking Nocturnal Culto's voice on this album is just painful. So like, it's just so fucking oh man, his screams are they're the best and most painful I think he ever did. And that was another nice surprise when I finally got a chance to just sit down and really digest this album, just totally wicked. And oh man, great vocals he delivered. By far, I think his best vocal performance ever. So, yeah, that's Darkthrone. You know, there's a couple albums for you, and, you know, again, you probably know them. Maybe you don't. I don't know. If you don't, though, definitely check them out. And other than that, thank you so much for joining me for, you know, here on Joe's Metal Man Cave. I hope you like what you're seeing. I got lots of plans for this channel. I mean, soon enough, you know, I'm going to start showing some more rare stuff and some of my own like creations related to black metal and heavy metal, and I'm also eventually going to start a series called Underrated Black Metal, where I'm going to be highlighting specific bands or albums that just need a lot more attention. So, but it's going to be a little bit more down the road once things get a little more established here and I get more subscribers and more views start coming in. So yeah, that's what to look forward to on this channel. And other than that, you know, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate everyone who checked out the last video and everyone subscribed. I hope that continues onwards. That'd be great. Anyway, my name is Joe. This is Joe's Metal Man Cave. I will see you next time. All right.